Bonjour mesdames et messieurs et bienvenue au matin de ma seconde journée ici à Paris. En ce moment, je me prépare à descendre au premier étage pour prendre le petit déjeuner offert par l'auberge. And that's all the French you're getting, so I hope you enjoyed that.
Okay, so back out on the streets of Paris for day number 2 now. Today's going to be something kind of cool, actually. I spent the last little bit sitting in the little lounge thingy in the hostel planning out what I'm going to do today. We're actually going to go back in time about 400 years for something that I think I'm going to call, what would be a good name for it? Let's call it Half-Assed Parisian History with Professor Alex. This is kind of a thing based on a book that I read last year in a history class that I really, really liked. It's called How Paris Became Paris. The book devotes the first 3 chapters to 3 particular attractions in Paris that are kind of emblematic of how Paris became Paris. The first one is called Le Pont Neuf. The second one is Place Royale, now it's called Place des Vosges, and the third one is the Ile Saint-Louis. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to all of them, and the reason why it's half-assed Parisian history is because I half-assed some background research based on the notes that I took while I was reading the book, and I'm going to, in a half-assed sort of way, try to explain to you why they're important. And the last step of the process is that there's a lot of ways that I could get around Paris, but I am quite a fan of cycling, and last time I was here, I cycled around Paris on one of these rental bikes that you see right here. One of those. So, what I'm going to do this time around is the same thing. I've already bought online a ticket to rent the bike, and I'm not exactly spoiled for choice, unfortunately. That's kind of the only one that's here, so I guess I'm kind of going to go with that one. Ah! So far, I have no idea whether or not I'm actually even going in the right direction. I'm kind of just trying to get back into Paris cycling culture because this is one of the things, unlike Ottawa, where people don't really even notice you if you're on a bicycle. Here, there's actually kind of cycling customs. And given the fact that I'm not from here, I don't know most of them. So I'm kind of trying to get accustomed to them so that I don't get squashed, because that would be bad. Well, I don't know what's more amazing, either the fact that I've managed to be on this bike for about 5 minutes now without getting smushed, or the fact that I actually kind of know where I am. This is Place de la République. I was here yesterday. Look at me. I am so good at life. So I just learned something then. If you saw the cyclist that went through the light while I was sitting there, that's not a thing that would happen in Ottawa, because I don't know, at least in Ottawa's cycling culture, you wait for the light and then you go. Apparently here, at least as far as bicycles are concerned, the right of way basically goes to whoever has the balls to go through the intersection. At least in Paris anyway. Don't try that in Ottawa, you will get hit by a bus. Holy frig, okay. Okay, well, I actually really only stopped to fix a camera, but since I'm here, look at that. Remember yesterday when I was saying that Paris is just like the most desperately pretty thing to look at? That's what I'm talking about. Okie dokie, so there it is, right there. If you didn't know it was 400 years old, you'd probably be hard-pressed to tell that it is, but it is. Apparently it's been quite extensively restored over the years. But yeah, no, there is the Pont Neuf, which translates to the new bridge. And there, I don't know, this is going to be really hard for you to see, but if you can see right there, where my finger is-ish, no, I think my finger's on it, there we go, is a statue of Henry IV, or Henri IV, who kind of came up with the idea for the thing. So anyway, as this is Professor Alex's whatever I decided to call this, I'm going to read off to you now what my 20 minutes of Googling about this actually dug up. So anyway, the cool thing about the Pont Neuf is that it's the first real artery between the left and the right bank. So at the time, it was in fashion to have the two sides of the bridge lined with shops. If you sort of think, what's it called in Florence? I went to it, cue archival footage. If you think of I think it's called the Ponte Vecchio or something, pardon my awful Italian pronunciation, but if you think of that, that's what every bridge was at the time. The Pont Neuf was the first one to be built without shops on the side, so it kind of let people see the view from either side. The reason why they used to have shops on them was because the money from the shops was used to finance the building of the bridge. But since this one didn't have any shops, somebody needed to come up with a clever idea for how to finance it. So what King Henri IV did was put a tax on wine, which is hilarious. People said that the bridge was paid for by the rich and drunkards, because those were the two groups of people that consumed the most wine and so paid the most tax on it. And I do believe that is about all. How do you think I did for my first foray into teaching? Not well, I feel. But anyway, I got 2 more of these stops to improve on. First thing I'm going to do, though, is find a way up onto the bridge, and we're going to go take a look at the statue of Henri IV on a horse. Oh, this is bumpy. This is genuinely uncomfortable. Ow, 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 ow. Okay, today's lesson, cobblestones, hard on the ass. Oh, make that part of Professor Alex's whatever. There's love locks here as well. Are you kidding me? Things are everywhere. It's like Paris is the city of slapping a lock on a bridge. Anyway, so here's the statue. Apparently it is not the original one. The original one was destroyed sometime at the tail end of the 18th century. This one was put up in its place, a near exact replica, I think some 20-some years later, something like that. But yeah, there we go. It's a man on a horse. Probably seems worth all those cobblestones, to be quite honest. Anyway. Well, here's an added wrinkle. It is officially raining. Don't worry, the whole world isn't shaking this much, it's just the camera. So, after getting turned around about 6 times in the wrong direction, here we are. Welcome to stop number 2 on, what is it? Professor Alex's weird and wild tour of wonder and excitement. So yeah, welcome to what was originally called Place Royale. Now it is known as Place des Vosges, and I genuinely hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. So this is the main bit, kind of in the middle. But the reason why I've parked up outside of the central bit is because the actual kind of point of it was all these buildings around the outside. Now, first of all, they are all very old, and I just noticed over here, actually, we'll cross the street without getting smushed. There is a sign over here, actually, that is about the birth of someone in this hotel. I guess this was a hotel at some point, it might still be, I don't know. The birth of someone in this hotel on the 6th of February, 1626. So these things have been standing here for a while. And the point is, if you have a look around, they're all kind of the same, and that was the idea with Place Royale, is that it would all be a uniform facade on all these buildings. And actually, without even referring to my notes, I remember that the original way that this place was financed was by striking a deal with a silk company who would take up space, I have no idea where, but they would take up space in one of the buildings around here and actually sell their wares in the boutique on the ground floor. It was the first real kind of public square in in Paris, because at the time, at the end of the 16th century, there wasn't really such a thing. So what happened is that this thing was built, and it became, and still is, the center of one of the trendier neighborhoods, one of the more upscale neighborhoods, which is called Le Marais. The deal between Henri IV and the silk factory ended in 1615, so 402 years ago now, and the silk factory vacated the place, and the aristocrats moved in. So the rich people took over, and that's when you start to see the balconies. Wait, my screen's off. That's when you start to see the balconies. So you can see that one there, that one there. The aristocrats started to put those in because they wanted to be able to look out over the square, and incidentally, they're also the ones that put in the fences. So yeah, there we go. That was officially stop number 2 on, yes. Last stop is actually not that far from here at all. It is Ile Saint-Louis, which is like, wait, is it that way? No, it's that way. I'll figure it out. I'll get lost 8 times and I'll eventually get there. Let's go. Okay, well, here we are, ladies and gentlemen. This is it. This is officially stop number 3. There it is, across the Seine, with a couple of boats in front of it, whose timing I do appreciate because they're making the shot a lot better. So there it is. That is Ile Saint-Louis. It is let's spin you around. It is a man-made island, sort of. I remember it was made by joining 2 already existing islands, and since it was a completely sort of from scratch island, they just had a blank piece of land in the middle of the Seine, they were able to lay out the streets the way they wanted, so it's basically a perfect grid. As far as the architecture goes, I'll just show you right here, and I'll cut in now some B-roll of what it actually looks like in there. Apparently there's 132 buildings, or at least that's what the book says there, and the overwhelming majority of them were designed by an architect named Louis Levaux. So since they were all designed by the same person, they all kind of have a sort of a unifying theme. They all kind of go together, and that again also foreshadows the way the rest of Paris would kind of grow up around that model in the ensuing 400 years, and why it looks so freaking good today. So you know what, I'm actually very slowly earning my Professor Alex title because I pretty well remembered almost everything that I ripped off of Google in 20 minutes, which is either an accomplishment or not, but one way or another, that's pretty well all I had. And sort of the overarching theme here is all these places were built right at the very, very start of the kind of movement in building Paris of deliberately planning it, and that's kind of the idea, at least behind the book, that inspired this whole thing, is that Paris was the first deliberately planned city. And you can tell looking at it, if you look at a satellite image on Google Maps now of what Paris looks like, you can see the very straight streets in a lot of areas. You can see where it looks like somebody deliberately made it that way. And Paris was the first city to really do that, and now of course all cities are that way. And there we go, ladies and gentlemen. That is all. So this officially concludes Professor Alex's whatever the hell this is called. So, back to the hostel we go. That's better. Started raining again a little bit. Okay, and I've made it back in one piece. So we go like, oops, hang on. This is really not a one-handed operation, but I'm doing my best. There we go. Okay, get this off myself, that's better. So, I think the game plan for right now at the very least, because I think it's almost 5 o'clock, I'm gonna get some espresso and some food. I like that plan, that's what we're gonna do. Okay, so that was pretty good, but at least for me, cafe food doesn't usually fill me up all that much. The espresso works great, but the food usually leaves me wanting a little bit more, which is the case now. I could do with some more food. So I decided I'm going to try and figure something out. So you remember the crepe place I went to last night, right? There was a massive lineup all the way out into the street, and the lineup was still equally long, if not even longer, when I left. There's another crepe place literally 2 doors down that didn't have a lineup. Now, what I'm curious about is because the way I found this place was it was on a BuzzFeed post. Yeah, it's on a BuzzFeed post as one of the best cheap eats in Paris, and I'm wondering whether the reason it has such a lineup is because it's actually better, or if it's because it's very, very well advertised and everybody goes to the same BuzzFeed page that I went to and finds the same listing. So what I'm going to do is, since I got a little bit of time to kill before the sun goes down here, I'm going to go back to that same street, go to the other crepe place, and see if it's disgusting or if it's equally good. Okay, so here we are again, and same deal. Look over here, long ass lineup, literally 2 restaurants down, no lineup at all. Comment ça se fait que l'autre place de crêpes là-bas ont une gigantesque ligne tout le temps et pas vous autres?
Lui, c'est la première qui a commencé il y a 30 ans. C'est normal qu'il a fait sa clientèle.
Moi, je me demandais si leur publicité était meilleure ou quelque chose. Ah, ça aussi?
Il prend les vidéos, il met sur l'internet. Quand il y a la queue comme ça. Vous allez goûter.
Ah oui?
Après, vous me donnez combien? Marque. Est-ce que c'est bon, c'est pas bon? Combien? Sur 100.
Combien sur 100?
Oui.
Ok, super. Oui.
Voilà.
Merci. Okay, so right away, this place has an upstairs, which is a bonus. Well, let's get started on this then. Donc, vous vouliez une marque sur 100?
Oui.
Je dirais c'est au moins 90 sur 100. C'était super.
Merci beaucoup.
C'était super.
Gentil.
Ah, super. Ben, passez une bonne soirée, ok?
Ok.
There we go. And for the record, actually, I was not exaggerating or kidding or trying to make the guy feel good when I said it was a 90 out of 100. That was genuinely one of the tastiest things I've eaten in my entire life. I'm the kind of full now where you actually get a little bit tired. So anyway, I'm on the way back to the hostel now. But before I get there, I'm going to make one quick little stop. You know, I just remembered this morning when I said I wasn't going to do any more French. Damn. Right, well, it's just about time to wrap up the day here in Paris, but there is one more thing I do need to go and do. I would be a little bit remiss if I came to this city and didn't find a place outside a cafe-ish kind of spot to go read a book, even a very English one. So, I'm going to go find a spot where I can get maybe kind of a glass of wine or something, and sit down and have a bit of a read, and that'll be the end of my time in Paris.
Interesting.
Okay, well, ladies and gentlemen, that is all. I will say the wine was just a little nasty. That's okay, because I still got my reading in, which was good. Quickly, though it feels it has come, that is officially the end of my time in Paris. I didn't actually think I would get this much enjoyment out of my second visit to a city. But what it's done is the last 2 days have proved the concept that you can definitely still have a lot of fun in a city the second time you go, and in this case, even more so, because there was no pressure to kind of see it all this time around. I kind of just went and kind of did what I wanted to do. So yeah, it's been fun. Tomorrow morning, I'll be getting up early enough to get on my train to get to my next destination, which is Luxembourg. See you then. Good night.